In this session, we are going to focus on different kinds of charts which are helping us in doing the comparing the values across the different dimensions. We'll see how we can create those kind of charts in Tableau. So, from a very basic visualization aspect, we are slowly moving towards the advanced visualization. Again, advanced does not mean it's difficult or complex, but more and more we are able to link the data with the business requirements in a very general manner. Now, all these kinds of charts, again, they are easy to create in Tableau. The more the more important point that we have to keep in mind is the goal of Tableau always is to communicate the data. The goal of any good visualization should be to communicate the data in an effective manner, not to make it complex, right? So when I'm using the word advanced, here what is very much required is when they should be created. What is the purpose? Under what scenarios I should create these kind of charts? Why they should be created? What makes them different compared to the other kinds of charts? And how to leverage some of the important features of Tableau to create them, right? And many a times we may not end up or we may end up creating a chart not directly with the data that is available, but we may do some kind of calculations, and based on those calculations we are trying to plot some of these kind of charts. So even that could make them more advanced. So primarily when we are creating these kind of advanced visualizations, instead of simply memorizing a set of instructions, if I spend more time in terms of understanding how the different kinds of field types can give me different kinds of charts in Tableau. So how can the different field types play a role in terms of defining the headers, how they can define the axis, how they can define the marks. So if I spend time in terms of understanding all these aspects, it becomes more and more easier. And as a part of advanced, okay, this is one aspect. We can do the comparison across the different dimensions very easily using different kinds of charts. We can really work out with the dates, times in very advanced manner. We can also look at the part to whole kind of relationship. We can also see the distributions of the data. These are all the different kinds of purposes for which we are creating some kind of visualization. And in some cases, I may be more interested in looking at multiple access related data as well. So different kinds of visualizations depending on our business requirements do crop up. So the first of these, I want to do a comparison across the different dimensions. And for that, I want to start with a very preliminary bar chart and then progress towards some advanced charts like bullet charts, bar in bar charts. So we'll look at how easy it is to create these kind of things in Tableau. Alright. So if we look at this, first let's look at the comparison of the values across the different dimensions. So some kind of measures, right? The objective is I want to compare some kind of measures across the different dimensions. So this is the objective, right? Across the different dimensions, I want to compare the different measures. Like, okay, across the different departments, what is the profit that is generated? I want to compare the profits across the different departments. So some kind of a quantitative measure, I am comparing across some dimension, which is a kind of a discrete measure. So let's get started with a bar chart, right? So let me get into Tableau to create this. So we'll use our superstore example, which is available as a part of Tableau. So let me open that superstore sample workbook. I'm opening a superstore workbook, right? So this is the data of that superstore workbook. So rather than opening that entire sheet, okay, let's not use this, right? Let me connect simply to that data source. So let me close this. Right, this entire thing will create at a later point. Okay, so this does not exist. So let me add a simple Excel file. So let's take this superstore from our side. Only the data sheet is what we are adding, right? Okay, so this is our data source. Now I want to really look at, let me come to this sheet 1 from this data source, right? Let me delete all these things, right? Let's build something from the scratch. So I'm deleting all of them. So let me actually create one blank sheet, then I'll delete. So let's say we have just got the data, right? This is the orders related data. This is the people related data. This is the returns related data. Fine. Now let's come to sheet 1. So these are the different dimensions that are there, the orders related, the people related, the region related, right? Now I really want to see the sales for each category. So my first objective, I want to look at the sales for each category. Now what are the categories that are there in the data? If I go here, I could look at the categories. Okay, let me come here. Category office supplies, technology, office supplies. So this is the category and these are the sales. So this is a dimension and this is a measure. Now I really want to find out the relationship between the two. So because category is a discrete, it should define the headers, and because the sales is a continuous, it will define an axis. That much part we are very clear of. So what do? I am dragging the category. Where is the category? Yeah, category I am dragging onto the rows. So I get these three categories: furniture, office sales, and technology. So these are the categories that are there. Oh, only three categories altogether. Let me go back to my data. If there are only three, okay, there are only three categories here. Then better we'll refer to another data source. That coffee data source itself we can refer to, right? So let me close this data. Let's open that coffee data itself. Okay, so I'll connect to the access data source where I had my coffee chain. Okay, so this is the data on which we'll look at, right? So the data wise, You could see here the copy chain query. So there are so many things: sales, market, state, major market, product type, and product. So let's say I want to look at the product. So here my objective is product wise. What are the things? Do I have the sales or profit? Product wise, I want to look at sales. I want to look at product wise sales, right? So let's get started with that. I want to look at the product wise sales for each of the products. So I'm coming here, product, I'm taking into the rows. So there are these many products that are there, right from Amaretto, Cafe Latte, Cafe Mocha, etc. And I can pull the sales into the column. A very simple bar chart. Now, I know here the product, it's a discrete, so it is defining the headings. And it is slicing the sales for each of the products. The slices are being made for the sales for each of the products. Whereas the sales, it is defining the axis, because sales is primarily a continuous. So there is a summation that is being performed for each category because it's a measure. Until there, it's a very plain stuff. Now, if I really want, I can do the sorting of this data. Either I can do it from here, looks like this is ascending, this is descending order. So these two can help me to sort, or you can see here there is a descending kind of symbol. So either I do it here or do it from here, there is a sorting that is being performed, right? So sorting is doing right from Colombian to regular espresso, looking like Colombian is a product which is having a much higher sales, whereas regular espresso is having the least sale. Now probably the best thing is look at cafe latte versus mint. Almost both of them from a graph they are looking more or less similar. So it would be very difficult to differentiate whether cafe latte is more than mint or less than mint or exactly equal. With a visual eye, it becomes very difficult for us to compare. But because we are using the ascending or a descending order, it is like becoming very clear that cafe latte is having slightly higher sales compared to that of mint. So the sorting can really help me to come out with a better ranking mechanism compared to not sorting, and if there are minute differences, it can really address the scenario. So I can do it either from here or from here, or probably I could even go here. I could even go here and sort. Right here I can go and do the sorting based on the active dimension. If I want to do a dimension wise, so okay, sort order, if I am saying descending, this is the order. Otherwise I go here and I can very well say the ascending, right? Sorts by the field sales, or I can say sort by alphabetic. If I am saying sort by alphabetic, I get it in this way. Again I can go here and I can say sort. So alphabetic and descending, that's the reason it gave me in this order. Otherwise I can say field the sales in a descending order. So once I apply it, I get in this. So I can go to this active dimension, right click on this active dimension, and I can get the sort. And if I want to remove the sort, I can simply say clear the sort. Now all these sorting methods that we are using, they are more and more specific to the view. So any default sort that was there as a part of our metadata, that would be overwritten here. So that's the first aspect, the simple bar chart. Fine. Now let's say we want to look at a few variations associated with this bar chart. So especially two major things. One, I want to look at the progress towards a goal. I have a target and I want to see how close am I to the target. And for that we have two mechanisms, one being the bullet chart, the other being a bar in bar chart. And the second variation which we can look at is, what if I want to highlight a single category? I'm more interested, I'm a seller, or I'm more a manager of one of the brands of coffee, one of the products. So I want to see how my product is doing vis-a-vis the others. So that is where we are doing a highlighting of a single category. So let's start with bullet charts first. See how easy it is for us to create a bullet chart. Now for the bullet chart, let's say I want to take, see, one I can take the target, right? Okay, we have to create the targets for all the products. We can create a simple spreadsheet which will contain the targets for all these products, and we can simply link them, right? Let's say I want to create a simple spreadsheet. So let's say I have created one simple a target Excel sheet like this. I have a product, a list of products, and I have created some kind of targets for them. So let me save this somewhere, right? I'll save it in the same location where we have our other data as well. So I go here and I say targets, right? So I've saved an Excel workbook with target. Now what I do is I pull that data source here, the Excel file which I had, the targets, I'm getting that, right? So there is one more sheet that got entered into our data, the targets and a coffee chain. Now I can very well define the relationship between the two, right? So it is already linked. You could see that the product is the link between the two and the linking is already done. Now what I can very well do, now I want to compare the actuals with the target, right? Now the basic bar chart will still remain like this only, whereas from this target, right, I will use the target here, right? I'll use this target and I'll use this show me, and now you see the graphs that are there. There is a bullet chart. There is one target, there is one actual in the view. So I will get a bullet chart. So what I can do, I can select this bullet chart, right? One is the field that is there in the view and one is the field that I have selected. Now I get a bullet chart like this, where you could see what are the numbers. Now the blue bars are actually the targets, right? The blue bars are the targets, and the vertical reference lines, they are looking like the sales. So the blue bars are the targets and the other ones look like the sales. Now there are some numbers that are not coming up here, right? For this the targets are not specified, which means there could have been some spelling mistake from our side. For cafe mocha and cafe latte, the numbers are not showing up, so it could be a kind of spelling mistake from our side, right? So we are I think there's something to do with the spelling out here. Fair enough. So for whatever the things, the spellings are there, fair enough. So this is the chart that we are getting, right? The only thing is, in a regular bullet chart, we always get the actuals represented by the bar and the targets represented by this vertical line, right? So I just wanted the reverse of it. So what do? Whatever I have, the target, right? Whatever I have on the target, right click, and I say swap reference line fields. So this will now the actuals will become the bar and the targets will become the line. Now when I have done the reference line, now things are slightly clear. Regular espresso is somewhere here. This is the actual, the target is here. Amaretto, this is the actual, the target is here. So I can very well see how close or away from the target each of my products are. Of course, if there was some spelling mistake looks like, so that's the reason we are getting only the actuals for these two products. We don't have the targets. Fair enough, you can ignore it. You can just look at it from the understanding perspective. So this is the kind of a bullet chart where we are comparing the actual sales with that of the target. So this is what probably if required I can very well rename as a bullet chart. Right, especially when I have the actuals versus the target, I can very well use the bullet, and now I can very well see which of them are meeting the target, which of them are very away from the target. All these kinds of stuff I can really understand. Now comes the next important chart in our process, which is a bar in bar kind of a chart. This also is more towards expressing the progress. Right, the same example we can express in the form of a bar in bar chart. Now, if you want, we can create the same. We'll duplicate this sheet. What we'll do is we'll duplicate it. This time we'll call it as a bar in bar chart. Right, we'll make the modifications as required. We have duplicated it. We have the bar in bar. Now, here the target, from here, let's say I will drop, I'll not have the target here, I'll drop the target directly onto the axis here, right, onto the axis, which means I'm superimposing it on the top of the sales. Okay, so I have superimposed it on the top of the sales. Now, so I have dropped one of the measures, which is the target, onto the space, which is a measure here. So here, if you look at, there is, so earlier it was being occupied by the sales. Now I am dropping on the top of it. So from here, the target, I'll drop it directly onto the axis. So earlier I had it as a part of the marks. Now I'll drop it directly onto the axis. The moment I have dropped on the axis, you could see a few things here. There are two special fields. Here there is measure names and a measure values that is coming. Sales and target, both of them are coming one below the other. And here we are having measure values and the measure name. Some special fields are being substituted. So especially when I am dropping one on the top of the other, this kind of thing is going to come up. So the measure name is a kind of a special dimension field which Tableau adds for every data source. So it is more like a placeholder, the names of the measures. Similarly, when I am saying measure values, it's a special measure field which Tableau adds for every data source. So it's again a placeholder for the values of other measures. Now what we can do is the measure names field which got added. Now I will drop it onto the color shell. I want to differentiate the sales and the targets. So the measure names The moment as instead of in a row, if I'm taking it into a color, I'm getting a differentiation. Whichever are the different measure names, there are two measure names which we had. So the measure names are getting differentiated by the color. So we had an orange color versus a blue color. Probably I can very well change. So when I'm double clicking, let's say the target, I can keep it with this color, right? Or probably target, I can make it much more lighter as well. So I can very well put, let's say, a very light or some gray kind of color. So the target can be, so the color wise I want to edit. For the target, let's say I want to select this gray color, right? This gray I want to apply for the target. So the target has become much lighter, and probably the actuals, so it has got converted into a kind of a stacked bar chart. So this is 140 and this is 128. So total is what is being plotted out. But I don't want something like this, right? So this is the target, this is the actuals. So the color wise, this is the differentiation that we have got. Now, whatever is the measure names which we have taken as a part of the color, right? I even drag it into the size. I want to create a different size based on the measure name. So the moment I have dragged it, you are seeing that one of them has become much thinner, the other one has become much thicker. So there is a different size that is created for each of the bars. And probably this is lighter, this is thicker. I can very well change the sizes of them as well. So probably if I am doing this, one of them is becoming more and more thicker. So I can very well select this and I can still either increase or decrease the size of each of them. So things are becoming either thicker, thinner. Okay, that's a kind of one differentiation that I am getting out. But I don't want them to be stacked. I want one inside the other. So that is where I don't want that stack. I want them to overlap over each other. So this is where I can go into this analysis, and by default you see that the stack marks are automatically on. So the stack marks, if I make off, so one is getting superimposed over the other. The actuals are coming inside, the targets are coming outside, and probably you could clearly see that the target is something which is a bigger one in many of the cases. The actuals are somewhere inside it. So this is the way we can represent a bar in bar chart. Another better example for bar in bar charts is, I want to look at both the sales as well as profits for each product. Let me try that out here. Right, first what do we do? First you create the sales. A quick workout for you. So take the product, take the sales. So we are getting a sheet like this. On the top of this, bring the product, a profit, drop it here. The moment you have dropped it, you get something like this. You get measure names. So these are the two measure names. So simple way is bring the measure names into the color. The moment you have got it, you are seeing that these are the sales, the other ones are the profits. Now the other way is, first of all you make them differentiated by size. So the measure names from here take it into the size. So you are getting some of them thinner, the other one being thicker. But at the same time you don't want them to be stacked. So simply you come to this analysis, stack marks, make them off. So if required, change the colors of all of them. Right, so the color if you are going with, so the profit you can keep that color, but for the sales let's say if I want some kind of, let's say red or green, some dark kind of a green. So I could clearly see that this is my sales, out of which only this percentage is my profit. So I could have a differentiation like this: what percentage, what proportion of my total sales is contributed by the profit. Even that would become another bar in bar kind of a chart. So there could be different uses of bar in bar chart. So profit to sales, if I really want to observe, even that could be done using this bar in bar chart. Now, the other important aspect as a part of comparisons is I want to highlight one single category. Let's say here I'm a manager who is in charge of Darjeeling tea or coffee, whatever it is. So I'm a manager who is in charge of the Darjeeling coffee. I want to monitor only the sales and profits of that particular product. I really don't care about the others, but still I want to see where I am with respect to my competitors. So I want to keep track only how am I doing with respect to the others. Now the easier way, probably let me create a new sheet again, right? Let me rename it as highlight. So the same again, product, okay, I can drag it onto the rows or even I can drag it onto the column. I'll drag my sales onto the other side. So these are the different products. Now all I really want is Darjeeling is the product that I want to track. Where is my Darjeeling with respect to the others? If required, I can even sort it. So still my Darjeeling is somewhere here. Now, so I want a different color for Darjeeling. Every time I don't want to go and do it. It has to be automated. So that's where I want to create a calculated field. I'll come to this analysis, and within this analysis we can create some calculated fields. So a simple formula is what I really want to write. Okay, table category, or probably I can very well say the category is Darjeeling tea. Direct name I'll put, right? I'll put the name as Darjeeling tea, and so this is the name of that particular category, and okay, right? I am creating. So where is my name? Okay, Darjeeling tea. Okay, I am entering the code out here. Okay, what is that code? The name of the product. So the name of the product should be equal to Darjeeling. So when the name of the product is equal to Darjeeling, I say okay. Oh, there's an, oh, we have given it earlier. So let me call the name as Sirf Darjeeling. Okay. So there is a new dimension that got created called Darjeeling, and it is having a simple code saying product equal to Darjeeling. So this really tests. Now you see here there is an equal to true or false kind of stuff. So this is testing the equality, and it returns true if the value of that tea is Darjeeling, if the value of that product is Darjeeling, otherwise it will return false. Now this is the new field that got created. I'll drag this dimension onto the color, which means based on true or false, I am actually getting a different color altogether. So I can very well change the colors, right? Dark versus light, or probably some kind of orange here. So orange is being represented by my product, whereas all others are typically represented in blue. In other way, probably to make things much more brighter, I can very well talk about the false ones being represented by a very light color, right? Almost non-existing kind of color, right? And probably the one which I really want to highlight, that I can see in a brighter kind of a color. And at the same time, I don't want see if I have headings and all. I mean, see, I can have the headings, but sometimes they may not be useful because all I want is see only my product where it is. I'm not bothered about who is the first, who is the second kind of stuff. So the column headings may not be of much use for me. So what do I do? Within this active field, I can remove this show header. If I am removing the show header, I don't know what these products are. I'm not bothered about, but I'm only interested in what is happening to my sales, where I am in the overall list. Now, if required, I can do some kind of annotation. Okay, you select the bar, right click it, and make it annotate. So I can do an annotation of mark. Okay, let's say I want to annotate the mark wherein whatever I want. Okay, Darjeeling product is product, sales is sum of sales. So there is some kind of an annotation that I can bring exclusively to this, saying this is Darjeeling. If required, I can edit the annotation. This time I really don't want the first stuff. I just want the product and the sales. Right? So I don't want the product. I just want, so if required, this I am taking it out. I just want the product as well as the sales. So that is the something that I can annotate. So it is a kind of a display of the values of the data, wherein I have a free-form text to draw the attention or to give explanation. So when I am doing the mark, it's a specific mark, shape, bar, whatever. I am giving the values that are data that is associated with that specific mark. I can even do a point. We'll talk about these things later. I can do a point annotation, or I can even do an area kind of an annotation. But this will bring some kind of clarity because I have removed out the axis from the representation. So these are the different kinds of comparisons that we can do in Tableau when we have to compare between we compare the measures across the different dimensions. So we got a clarity regarding the bar chart, the bullet chart, when do I use it, the bar in bar chart, and what do I do if I want to highlight one single value in the entire bar chart. Alright. So thanks a lot for listening to this session. Thank you very much.